Welcome to Database Management series of lectures. Today we'll be discussing about Unit 1, Topic 10, that is File Organization. What is file organization? Before that, let us understand what a file is. File is a collection of records. So you can understand file to be Welcome to Database Management System series of lectures. Today we'll be discussing about Unit 1, Topic 10, that is File System Organization. So, what a file is? File is a collection of records. Now, let us take an example. We have a table named as R with columns A, B, C, D. Okay. Now, these 4 columns are going to store only integer values. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Let's say that this table has got 4 columns. 4 columns we have and 3 records or 3 tuples we have here. Now, this table is going to be stored in the memory location as one file. This whole thing will be treated as file 1. Now, if the same table has been extended further from 4 to 100 records, then the whole table may not be stored into the memory as a single entity. So, this whole together can be subdivided into various files. That means from file 1, you can store the records from 1 to 10. File 2 can store the records from 10 to 20. File 3 from 20 to 30. So in this manner, we will store the data in the memory as a file. This helps for the better representation of data in the memory. So that's the reason one must and should know that how these files are organized in what manner so that you will be able to access to the data in a much more fastest manner and will be able to have a quick access to the data. Right? So these are the 2 requirements that has to be satisfied. So now let us understand this by moving on to the next. Now, what is the main purpose of doing this file organization? So now when you wanted to handle huge amounts of data which are stored in terms of a table, and you need to access to one particular record. So you need to start at one particular point and you need to navigate through all the records and then the required record is going to be fetched. So let us have a best technique so that you will be able to access to the data in a fastest manner. Of course, the purpose of designing the organization technique is meant even for inserting the data as well as to delete the data as well as to retrieve the duplicate records which are there. So that the main purpose of doing this organization is just to reduce the cost of storage as well as to access to the data in an efficient and in a fastest manner. So these are the objectives for performing the file system organization. Now let us look at various types of file organizations. So on the whole, we have 6 different types of file organization techniques. The first one is sequential file organization, heap file organization, hash file organization, indexed sequential access method file organization technique, B plus tree file organization technique, and then cluster file organization technique. So let us understand what is sequential file organization technique. So now, sequential file organization technique. Now let us see that this is record R1 and this is record R2 and this is record R3. So these are the various records that we have, and all these records are placed in a pile method. What is the first one is a pile method that is used. Okay, so till Rn record. So all these records are stored one after the other. That's the reason it is called as a pile sequential file organization technique. Now, let us say that another new record with number R100 have to be stored into this file. So generally, this R100 can be stored at the end. It gets appended at the end, right? So if a record 50 have to be stored, then again another new record gets inserted at or appends at the end of the sequential file organization technique. So this is how it does the insertion as well as deletion. So now if I wanted to remove R3 record, then I should start from here, search for R1, access R1, is it matching? Access R2, is it matching? Access R3. If R3 is found, then delete that and then continue, right? So this is how we do file sequential access file organization technique. And the second type is sorted file organization technique. Sorted file organization technique. So here, it also follows the same strategy, how the way that we have done for file method. Let's say that R1 is a record and the next R2 is another record which is inserted, so on. Now this is Rn record that is inserted, right? It does in the same manner. Now, when a new record has been inserted, let us say that R10 record have to be inserted, right? This is a new record. Now I need to insert this record. So now even this also gets appended at the end. But in sorted file organization technique, it immediately finds the best place where this file should be placed. So it does the sorting mechanism here and it creates a space for R10 here to be stored, right? So then the new sorted file organization will be appeared in this manner, R1, R2 and so on, R10 and so on, Rn. So this is how all the records gets stored. This is how all the records gets stored. So here, every time when a new record has been inserted, it has to be sorted. That's how all the records are arranged in a sequential order so that it allows us to have a fast access and it reduces lot of search time. So these are the benefits while dealing with a sequential file organization technique. Now, what could be the drawbacks? The drawbacks of this file organization technique is that drawbacks of file organization technique are every time we need to search, hold on, every time we need to search for the file. Yeah. The drawbacks are, these are the advantages, and the drawbacks are any operation needs to be done in a sequential manner only, which is a time consumption one and tedious job. And then searching for the record will definitely be a overhead of time, right? So it takes more amount of time for searching for the record. So this is about sequential file organization technique. Now let us move on to the next type of file organization, that is heap file organization technique. Next is heap file organization technique. So here we have various set of records. Here we have R1 record, R2 record, and R3 record. So over a heap file organization, we will have various data blocks. This is data block 1, this is data block 2, and this is data block 3. Okay. So all these are data records, and these are data blocks. So now R1 record is stored in data block 1. R1 record is stored in data block 1. R2 record can be stored in data block 3. R3 record can be stored into data block 2. So this is how the data can be stored on one data block to the other data block. Now, if the immediate records are available, then unless the data which is available as free in data block 1, we will not be able to perform the operation. So now only one record of data is being stored. So these are the data blocks. So these are the data blocks. Now R1 record has been stored at 1 or 2 memory location, and R2 is a record which is stored at 440 memory block, and R3 is a record which is stored at 210. So now in this data block, we are left with one space. So if a newly inserted record is given, then this can be allotted for the empty. So similarly, if R5 is another record which has been inserted, then it should be filled into this memory location. And it can be continued for the next set of data records. So here over a heap file organization technique, data blocks, how many data blocks are